So we'll be welcoming up our next ladies, our next guests. We have Kirthika Parmeswaran from Vital Start Health, as well as Roze McDevitt from Ben Franklin Technology Partners. Kirthika is the founder and CEO of Vital Start Health, a University of Pennsylvania's Penn Center for Innovation, early stage startup developing the first clinically guided, personalized, equitable, reproductive, and maternity mental health platform using virtual reality. We need a clap just for that. That's amazing. She has extensive experience across business and technology and healthcare, telecommunications, and cybersecurity. Roze is the MS as at venture capital analyst who works with the healthcare investment group at Ben Franklin Technology Partners of SCP. She is responsible for sourcing new investment opportunities, providing due diligence support, leading pre-seed and seed stage investments, as well as portfolio management. Welcome to you both, and I will kick it off to you.
All right. We have the fun topic to start with, and that is fundraising. Do you want me to kick it off, Kirthika? Fundraising. So it's a hard fundraising environment right now. We all know that. We can get that out of the way. But I think what's important is that founders, entrepreneurs, and startups will oftentimes hear a lot of no's, regardless of how difficult the funding environment is. I think what's really important is that you find out why. What's the reason behind that no? A good investor, they'll put in the time, they'll put in the energy to give you a thoughtful feedback of why it's a no, why not now, and when do you come back? When will this technology or this product be investable in the near future? That's the first point I want to make about fundraising. The second is you want to know who you're talking to, who's your audience, what motivates your investor, right? Are they a social impact investor? Are they an economic development investor? Are they a healthcare investor? You don't want to be talking to a SaaS investor about receptor cell data results that you got in a study, right? So you want to be talking their language and have your pitch tailored towards the investor that you're talking to. The other point is you have different investment vehicles, right? There is bootstrapping, there's angel investment, there's institutional investors, right? How do you navigate? When to go to whom? And there's advantages to each one of these investment vehicles, and I think it's good to take advantage of each one at a time. And so you definitely can be too early for an institutional investor or even an angel group if you don't have a prototype or a proof of concept or data to go to them with, right? What institutional investors really want to see is that you have explored other routes for funding. Non-dilutive funding and grants, I want to emphasize, are something really important that startups should look into to get off the ground. It's like planting a seed that will get you off the right foot. And my final point here is founders are always fundraising, but you want to be fundraising when you don't need the money. So if you're desperate and your company is about to fall apart in 2 months, investors can see that from a mile away. So definitely make sure that you're fundraising when you least need that money.
Wow. I see some familiar faces here. Hello. I think that was a great note that Roze brought about, is that a founder is always going to be fundraising unless you have a phenomenal business where you can, eat all your expenses and still make enough of a net profit to be sustainable. I want to take a step back and first ask, how many of you here are currently fundraising? All right, so that's a lot of us already. Maybe 10% of this room includes me as well. I want to give a founder's perspective and some of the pitfalls. Now, are most of you in pre-seed, seed, Series A? Yes, it seems like most of us are in that range. So I want to take a step back first. And as a founder, we hear a lot of no's. I think Roze is right. It's either no's or a moving target, get this done and come back to me. There might be many things. So I want to start by first saying, one thing that I've learned over the many years that I've been doing this, don't think of your business as something you're aspiring to create. That craving, right? That, that feeling, gosh, when is my funding going to come? Am I going to make this? Am I going to make it? Rather, look at it as an unfolding. You've already made it. Now it's an unfolding. You're at that point where you've got to make that right strategic decision. What is that right funding vehicle? Who are your right partners? Maybe it's not a funding vehicle. Maybe it's a corporate partner who's going to actually co-develop something with you. So there are many approaches here, and once you remove that incessant noise of whether I'm going to make it, whether this round is going to happen, I think a lot of clarity will come in, and you get into that solution finding mindset, which is what I'm finding to be very useful for me right now. I think Roze covered a lot of great ground here, different sources of funding. Another tip in that I've learned the hard way is, don't leave any stone unturned. What I've done now is I have an intern. Her only job is to scout for grants, competitions, and simply keep filling. So we've built a template, and she follows the template. There are definitely questions she may not know. But then we have a meeting, we figure out what it is, that's the nuance here. And we apply for many, because as you know, you apply for 100, you're going to make it to 10. So that is one thing, and as a founder, you've got to be smart. Fundraising is a smart and a strategy game, in my view. Because there are so many meetings you're taking here, may not lead to anything. So how do you optimize this? One way is to have all these competitions, all these entries, have an intern do it. You go after those big investor meetings. You go after the biz dev places. You go after those partnerships. Can you get into places where you're pitching to a decision maker? That is what I like to do, because I'm noticing that this is a continuous thing. So how do we make this better? So let me pause there. We've got a lot more interesting questions and hopefully interesting answers.
Yeah, so next good topic is building a team. Yeah. And I think, Kirthika, you have a lot of good points to add on that. But maybe I can just start with a high level of what do you look for in a team, right? You want to find people that are just as passionate as you are about the problem and not the idea, right? They want to be there to solve that problem. They're there for the long run. You don't want a team, executive management or other team members that are there to get paid a paycheck, because that's not what a startup is about at the end of the day. You also want to bring diverse team around the table, right? We talk about bringing women around the table and diverse team members. It's about having different perspectives and different point of views that's going to bring innovation to your company, right? And have that healthy relationship with your team members of it's okay to encourage them to disagree with your ideas. It doesn't always have to be going one way. And then the final point I want to make that comes down to cost from both an investor and a startup point of view is when to outsource versus doing things in-house, right? So you always want to, when you're looking at a project, you're developing a product, look at your team, whether it's a 2-person team or a 10-person or a 50-person team. Can I do this in-house? Do I need to go right away and talk to a contract organization? So I see that mistake oftentimes where portfolio companies just go with a contract organization, do the work that they want to do, and they haven't done enough work in-house to test this device or to do bench testing. And it's unfortunate because it's a time sink, it's a cost sink, and they have to go back and do this work in-house. So that's another thing that I do recommend that founders look into as you're building a team.
I mean, the team can be of different shapes and sizes, different expertise. And as a founder, really, you're looking at 6 areas. There's a lot you have to do as a founder. So first, you have to be like a team in yourself. But first you're looking at is your product and your platform. What is it that you're bringing to this world? What is that passion? Is this coming from something that happened to you or some idea that you have that you want to birth here, literally? The second is looking at the market. This is really important because this is a moving target. I mean, myself, we've pivoted at least 2 to 3 times already, and the market has shifted based on our pivot. But it's really important to keep that mindset of who your market is. And I'm going to tie all of this back into the team. It's important as you think of this. Who the market is, and as part of the market, what is your brand? What is it that you're creating? What makes you different from what's out there? Because there'll be competitive things. That's why there's money to be made, right? Because this is a space with unsolved problems, unmet needs, so you know there'll be others in there. So how are you going to differentiate yourself? So you've got to think of that from that lens and then tie your team. Make sure if you're going to go after pharmaceuticals, there should be somebody in your advisory board, in your team with that expertise. If you're going for an AI platform or something that's truly high tech, like our VR platform, we need someone who has that hands-on experience, who's really a phenomenal CTO, or who's really got that innovation mindset to help us drive and build this platform. The other area, of course, is finance and cash flow and, making sure your business, the lights are on. And that also is part of your team. Although you feel that you can do everything, you will need accountants. I mean, this is your extended team. You will need people who know, like I remember I had one of my advisors actually saved me almost in the middle of the night. We suddenly got a bill from Delaware for 45,000 or something. It was some franchisee tax. And as a first-time founder, I had no clue what that was. And I was freaking out, so I just texted David and said, David, what the hell is going on? We don't know what is this. How am I going to get this money? And he was like, oh, calm down. It's probably going to be $435 in the end. It's just a little lever. Apparently, that's how they'll send you those things. Then you call them and you show them till when the taxes were paid and things like that. There was just some nuances. But again, I mean, these are not things a first-time founder is expected to know. So you need to surround yourself with that circle of expertise, that circle of experience, so that you can, go through this day by day. And then, of course, there is, the operations. I feel like I'm doing half my job as operations at this point. But there's so much, so many things, dotting the I's, crossing the T's. And this is where you can actually utilize an intern, or you can utilize others who can come in, have that front-facing person for your company. It need not always be you. Train someone who can do that for you. Train someone to do the lead gen for you. So these are all different pieces of the team that you'll have to think through as you're thinking of taking this business forward. Because as you know, investors are going to say, where is the money? Who's your first customer? To get to that first customer, you need that product. To get to that product, you need the customer discovery. To do customer discovery, you need people who know what is design thinking. So you have to build this, very piece by piece, but it's like a complete puzzle that has to come through. So that's just my take on the team. Rose, I'm putting you on the spot with the questions. Maybe I should ask the question now.
No, of course. We have what a founder needs as they get off the ground.
Oh, I think, right. Thank you. This is a big question, right? What does the founder need as they get off the ground? I mean, there's so much. So those 6 areas that I was speaking about, definitely we need insights into all those areas to get off the ground. But the most important thing that I've discovered in my journey is definitely the monetary support. At the start, I thought I can do everything. I was like, oh, I'm going to hustle. I'm going to do this. I'll do the website. I'll do the social. I'll do the lead gen. I'll fill out every application and, working crazy hours. But I thought, wow, this is it. It's sweat equity. I've got to do all these things. This is my baby. I'm going to make this happen. But then I realized that if you can drive that initial funding, initial money, it can be friends and family, it can be maybe a little something you are able to carve out. What a change it makes. You can just upwork and get that talent that you need. But what a difference. You now have the look and feel of a full-fledged company. It's still a startup, but you know what's happening. So I think that's really key. I know we have just a few minutes left, and the last question is a big one because we all are fundraising here. So I don't want to waste more time on this, but definitely moving on to the last question. Shall I start on that? And I know you will have a lot more on this, Roze. So the last question that we discussed and we thought that would be most useful to founders and entrepreneurs in this journey would be pitch deck pitfalls. Oh my gosh, I don't even remember the version I'm on in my pitch deck. It's probably 500 or something. Because this is a constant journey. Just, I mean, starting from the optics. How does it look? You know, what kind of template? Is it looking well made? You've got to start right from there. You've got to think of, okay, how many slides are there to tell your story? Is it actually a story? Or are you just putting things in there? Are you more into the how? Or are you talking about the what and the why? So there's a lot of rethinking as you think of the pitch deck, because some of the topics, especially in healthcare, they tend to be very complex. And you feel like, wow, I'm missing this point, I'm missing that point. Don't worry about it. What's that main point that will attract somebody and get their attention? You got to start there. Then you unveil the story, just like a pizza. You start at the tip, then you keep expanding. And I think this is well known. There are many templates out there. There are like 12 areas you need to focus on, starting from the problem to the solution to the market. What's your initial, the SOM, the immediate market that you're going to go after? What's the next larger market? What is your beachhead? Where are you going to focus? Because focus, focus, focus is sort of the mantra for startups. So what is that focus area going to be? Because you're not building a one product. You're not a one product pony. You want to dream big, but then you have to start small. So how do you do that? So you need all of these in the pitch deck. But one of the main things that I've learned is that audience, and I think Roze brought this up previously as well. Who is that audience? So if you're talking to an angel investor, what they really care about is an exit. How are they going to get their money back? So make sure you have that exit slide. Most investors also care about the market. What is that total addressable market? Who are your competitors? Because they are doing that reverse analysis to see, do you have a space in this market? Are you going to be truly differentiated? So you need to make sure your pitch deck is unveiling that story with all these answers. And you may be early. There may be things you don't really know. And that's okay. I think that's the whole conversation building piece with the pitch deck. And that's what they say, right? The pitch deck gets you that first meeting. And then you've got to do a lot more to get that next meeting. So Roze, I'll hand it over to you now.
Yeah, I think you really covered some great grounds on what a pitch deck needs to have. I'll just highlight and reiterate having a crystal clear story from start to finish, right? The what, the why, the who, who's going to pay for your product, who's your end customer, what's your problem. But when thinking about that too, going back to the point of the audience, you don't want to be talking about problem being that cancer is a problem or cardiovascular disease is a problem when you're pitching to a healthcare investor. So again, that goes back to the point of know who your audience is, be consistent throughout the pitch deck. So if you're saying, I'm going to generate $5 million in revenue in 5 years, be consistent throughout. Does your team slide match what that 5-year projection looks like? Do your other slides match what this storyline is telling? So that's really important. And I would say have 3 key takeaways throughout your pitch deck that you want investors to get out of it. I can't tell you how many times we sit in on pitch decks where it's a half hour to an hour long pitch deck, and you, at the end of the pitch, you don't know what this product is or what this company is doing. And you never want to be in those shoes, right? Have those crystal clear key takeaways that you want out of the pitch deck. And with that, yeah, I think going to do your homework, know who the investors are that you're going to talk to, but always have an ask at the end of it too. That would be my final point is maybe you're talking to investors, but maybe you're pitching at an event. And that ask doesn't have to be money. It can be networking and connections, right? So always have an ask at the end of your pitch deck.
Yeah, that's a great point. Thank you.
Thank you, Roze and Kirthika. Thank you both.